Welcome to the channel, guys. We're going to be talking about planting with the moon phases in this video. Now, I grew up with my parents who planted for a living, for survival, not just for fun, not just because they wanted to do farming, but because it was what provided for the family financially and on our tables at home. My name is Mary. If you're new here, this is our container garden in which we plant our food, do experiments, we try, we fail, and each day I bring to you those experiences, also sharing with you my successes and failures. Now, one of the things we've succeeded at is planting by the moon phase. And I must give credit to my husband for this because even though I grew up seeing my parents planting according to the moon, I just felt like, when you don't believe everything that old people tell you, I just felt like it didn't work. But especially for watermelons and pumpkins and those things, guys, I planted watermelons for so long and just could not figure out why I was not getting a harvest from my efforts. And so since started planting by the moon, it has increased everything in my garden, not just the watermelons and the cucumbers and so on. Everything has improved in my garden since planting by the moon. And I'm going to share with you exactly how I utilize the moon phases to increase the yield in my garden. And now we're just enjoying the spoils from all of what we're getting based on just planting right. Now, what is planting by the moon exactly? Planting by the moon is a gardening practice that involves aligning planting activities with the lunar cycle, specifically the moon phases. So it's basically planting according to whether the moon, well, there are two main phases and then there are other specific phases. So let me explain what the two main moon phases are, and then we can go into the specific phases and how those phases affect a specific crop. Now, the two main phases are the waxing phase and the waning phase. The waxing phase is basically the new moon to the full moon. So basically dark night to full moon. That is the waxing stage. Now there's also the waning stage. So when you get to the full moon, the moon reduces again back to new moon. That's the waning phase. So you have the waxing phase and the waning phase of the moon. Now, these phases might be referred to as something totally different by our foreparents, but according to um, the Planting by the Moon books, there are so many books and resources online that you can read up on further, because it might, if it is that you're hearing these things for the first time, it might be a little confusing, but I'll also do follow-up videos. So if you're not someone who want to go and research, I'll do the research for you and provide more clarity. What you can do is in the comments of this video, you leave all your questions and your concerns and what you'd like me to expound on in a future moon video, and I will make note of all of your requests and provide clarity if it is that it is a little bit confusing at this time. Now let me go into a little more details as it relates to the waxing phase and the waning phase of the moon cycle. Now everything in this has to do with the gravity pull of the moon. Let's talk about the waxing phase. Now during the waxing phase, the moon gravitational pull is thought to draw moisture upward, promoting germination and growth. And it's ideal for planting above ground crops. Now, above ground crops can be your peppers, your leafy greens like your callaloo, lettuce, stuff like that. But as I said, there are more specific um, phases. As I go on in the video, I'll go into more details as to exactly which crop to plant when. So in the waxing stage, it's best to plant vegetables that are above, that produces up above the soil, because it is said that the gravitational pull of the moon is pulling moisture upward, hence promoting growth of those vegetables that you plant. Now, for the waning, it is the total opposite. So it is said, or thought to be pulling moisture down. That's the gravitational pull from the moon. It's said to be pulling the moisture downward. So it is ideal to plant crops like beetroot and carrots, those things, root vegetables. And it is at that time of the moon phase, you want to do your pruning, harvest what's there to be harvested, stuff like that. But it is not ideal to plant vegetables that needs to come up above the soil and produce above ground. No, as I said, there are more specific. So let's get into the specific moon phases. These phases you might be more familiar with because we use them more often. Now, there are four specific phases of the moon. The first one is new moon, or what we refer to as dark night. No, dark night, right? Those days are best to plant leafy greens like your lettuce, your pak choy, your cabbage, stuff like that. The ideal time to plant those is dark night or new moon. New moon is when you're barely able to see the moon in the sky, or you don't see it at all. Best time to plant um, leafy greens during new moon. They tend to do well. And as I said earlier in the video, these um what I'm telling you now, these are things that we've tested and tried, and it has worked in our garden. I've been doing this. I believe it's Steve is right out there. I believe it's about a year that he told me to look. You need to start planting by the moon, and I've noticed, and I've made mention in some of my videos of what um vegetable improve drastically throughout the time period that I've been practicing this planting by the moon thing. Now, after new moon comes my favorite quarter. There are 4 quarters to the moon phases or moon cycle. My favorite quarter is the first quarter. After new moon, you have first quarter, and that is when you plant your vegetables and fruits, especially those with seeds. It's ideal to plant most of the things that you plant in your garden. First quarter is the best time ever to plant those. Now, that's the quarter in which I plant my cucumbers now, my watermelons, my pumpkins, squashes. That is when it is ideal to plant all of those that produce seed inside. They do exceptionally well, and I am speaking from experience since planting those at the right time, guys. We've gotten amazing harvest, and I had to share this with you because I know some of you are struggling with your garden, some of you are struggling with the same things that I am struggling with, and so I know this is going to help somebody. Please share the videos, because not all persons get the notifications. I'm not sure why, but not all of our subscribers and viewers get the notification when I post videos. So please, if you're watching too and you've not yet subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and share so others can benefit from this information. And as I said, if there are other questions, if there are things that I'm leaving out, if there are specific vegetables that you want to know when to plant, and every month it changes. So I encourage you to check with your local farmer's calendar. If there are any particular vegetable that you need specific information, and please let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely get to them. Look at this kale that was planted on the right day. It's beautiful. Now, after first quarter, you have full moon, and full moon is ideal to plant root vegetables. Guys, that's another place that I struggle. That's another thing that I struggle with in my garden, root vegetables. Even though I do well for the most part, I was struggling, and I did not realize that I was planting those vegetables at the wrong time, and so they did not do well. vegetables such as turnips, your beetroot, carrots, yams, dashins, cocoa, those sort of things that produce beneath the soil. It's perfect to plant those during full moon. They do really, really well. So, guys, I encourage you, please try. There is no science behind it, but if old people is behind it, some if it's not true, it is very close to the truth. And so give it a shot. You won't regret it. Thank me later. Now for the last phase, the last quarter, that is when you want to take your rest. In everything, there must be balance. And so, if a first new moon, first quarter, and full moon, you are working in your garden, it's now time to take rest as it relates to planting. Last quarter is what you refer to as the barren period. You don't want to plant anything that grow below or above the ground. You can clean, you can harvest what's there to be harvested, you can sow seed. Do not plant anything in the garden on barren days. And again, for every month, this changes. So you want to check with your local calendar, farmer's calendar to see which days the moon is at what phase. Because it's not one month fit all. I can't tell you from this month when to plant next month. Unless I have the farmer's calendar for the entire year, then I'll definitely be able to tell. But each month, you can't use this month to plant next month. The moon slightly changes each month, and so the planting days also changes with that. Um, I hope that was helpful. Now let's go over why we should use the moon to plant our vegetables and fruits in our gardens in order for them to do well. There are just so many benefits to be gained from planting by the moon. The most important one for me is germination. There are too many times that I plant my seed and I'm wondering, is the seed good? What's happening? They just don't germinate. The thing is, with the moon not at the right phase, guys, everything has to do with gravity. If the moon is not at the right phase, chances are the seeds are going to be in the soil for too long, because of how the moisture is being retained overnight. Most of our seedlings are germinated overnight. And if things aren't going right, they're not going to germinate. And so some of your seeds will rot underground, and you're wondering if you had the right seeds. It just was not planted at the right time. So germination rate is increased significantly when the seeds are placed in the soil at the right time, especially for those that are planted in the elements where you're not able to physically control the water in the soil as against those that are planted. You might get away if you plant indoors or in a what you would say controlled environment where you're able to control the soil, the moisture in the soil, and so on. Then it probably will not be affected. But if you're planting out in the elements, it is important to plant at the right time so your seeds germinate. Now it is said that if those seeds germinate at the right time and start to develop roots at the right time, you have a better and a stronger root system. And you know, guys, without foundation, we literally shake. Whether it's a house, whether it's your footing, the same goes for your plants. If they have a good, strong root system, your plants tend to do way, way better. So it is said, according to the old folks, that if your plants, your seed germinate at the right time, those first sets of roots that start to bore down into the soil, they are stronger and they promote a healthier plant. And so you have stronger root system. Hence, in the end, you will get better production and better yield from those seedlings when they turn into their nice, beautiful plants. So that's another plus, another benefit from planting at the right time. With stronger roots, healthier plants, chances are you are going to get, not chances, you're guarantee a better harvest from those vegetables and fruits that you plant. My corns, I've been planting corn ever since I started my garden, which quite a few years before I started YouTube. And I got corns, but what happened was I probably accidentally planted those first crops on the right days. Now, between the first and the ones that I now get, I just struggled to get corn, full ears of corn, even when I help to pollinate them. And when Steve mentioned the planting farmer's calendar, and I started planting according to the correct days, the yield on those corns, guys, amazing. And so once you start at the right time, those plants will develop the right root system, produce healthier plants, and then healthier plants will eventually give you a better harvest. And the other day he said to me, you ever wonder why the volunteers in the garden do so well? And I immediately snapped into it and I was like, because they grow when they need to be grown. Those aren't planted. The seeds remain in the garden wherever they are and they grow at the right time for some reason. So they always do extremely well. That's how nature intended it to be. And what old people did was study how nature, the forest and the wild, how it operates and try and mimic that in order to get their gardens and farms to do extremely well. And that is what I'm trying to do in my garden and trying to share with you as well. There are so many insects and birds and lizards. Right behind here, there's a lizard doing his thing. Yes, guys. So with stronger plants, roots, everything you are going to get. And that's number three, better harvest from those crops. Another benefit from planting by the moon is to have more intentional gardening. So because you know you have to plant according to the moon, you are better able to plan your garden and you know what you're going to do when. When am I going to sow my seeds? When am I going to do my cleaning in the garden? Well, harvesting is something that we do on a daily basis when we do gardening. So for planting and what crops you're going to plant and how you're going to rotate your plants, especially if you're planting in containers like I do, you're better able to plan with the guide of the moon. You're better able to plan out your garden and you have a more success. At the end of the day, you have a more organized, successful gardening experience. And so I'll continue to utilize this method of planting and I hope you give it a shot. If you are using it already, let me know. And if you're going to give it a go, also let me know, guys. It is worth it. Believe me, it is worth it. On that note, I'm going to leave you for today, guys. I want to thank you so very much for joining me in the garden. Appreciate you so much. I want you all to big up Steve for me. He is a person who encouraged me to plant, even though he's Kingstonian. Oh, I got a sweets up, guys. Even though you're gonna have to bend down so they can see you. The guy love and appreciate you.
Good morning. All right, you're Sashide.
Yes.
Hi, Michelle. Morning, guys.
Yes, I was telling the guys throughout the video that you were the one who told me to start planting by the farmer's calendar. I am so happy he made his appearance so you guys can help me to appreciate him because it's him while we eating
appreciate,
watermelon.
appreciate you too, guys.
It's him while we eating
Appreciate all
watermelon.
y'all.
It's him while we eating watermelon. Guys, we struggled with watermelon. He was so frustrated when Samantha came out and Miss Juliet and everybody else planting watermelon. And I think those guys accidentally planted them on the right days.
Well, you never
Or
know.
they just have green thumb.
Yeah.
But I have it too.
So the melon
And
are going good.
yeah, it is producing. That's a volunteer, so it will do what it wants to.
Yeah.
So guys, we want to express our appreciation. Appreciation is due, so we're appreciating you. Hey, that
All right,
rhyme.
I accept. Thank
Yes.
y'all.
So, on that note, we're going to leave you for today, and we hope to see you in the garden tomorrow. Please remember to share the videos. Please remember to leave your comments. All right, guys. Oh, my members. Oh, could I? I apologize profusely. Thank you guys so very much for your support. Bye now.
Bye. Bye, guys.